Who was Athanasius and why was he important? He's an important figure in the life of the church in the early centuries, and his name is often thrown around, but many people are unaware of exactly why he's important. So let's go through it. But before we do that, remember to like this video, subscribe if you want to check out more videos as they come out, and by all means, leave a comment if you wish. It really does help the channel out. Athanasius was born in the city of Alexandria sometime in the 290s. It was actually a very important city in the Roman Empire at the time. It was the breadbasket of the eastern half of the empire, very wealthy. It had a great deal of education, not just for Christians, but there were Jewish intellectuals and pagan intellectuals there as well. It really is kind of the epicenter of all kinds of education in this world. Athanasius seems to have been raised in a pagan family. The earliest stories we have of him are actually only after his conversion, once he is in the employment of the bishop there in the city of Alexandria, a bishop conveniently named Alexander himself. So he's being groomed and educated there by the bishop and his associates. But Athanasius, for most of his early life, is not really famous by any measure of the word then or now. Rather, it is because of Athanasius' role in the Arian controversy. Arianism was a movement that started there in the city of Alexandria, and we don't need to go into all the details, but essentially Arius claimed that to equate the Son, to equate Christ in his divine nature with the Father himself, was heresy. He taught instead that the Son was a creature, and by extension so was the Holy Spirit. There was only one unbegotten Father of all, and that the Son was a creature, certainly more important than us, but he was, you might say, on our side of the order of creation. This created a lot of controversy because, of course, the church worshipped Christ, and they did all kinds of things from the very beginning that equated the Son with the Father himself. He is worshipped, he is glorified, he is called upon, we baptize in his name. If he is merely a creature, well, the important thing here to realize is that we are worshiping a creature now instead of God himself. So the Arian controversy gets underway, and it meets its crescendo at the Council of Nicaea in 325. Now, Athanasius is there. He did not write the creed. He was not actually that much involved with the Nicene Council. Athanasius' boss, you might say, Alexander, the bishop, was the big man on campus. He was the one who had laid charges against Arius, and he was the one who was there to defend it. Athanasius, though, gets thrust into the controversy itself, not simply because he is related as a disciple to Alexander, but shortly after the council, Alexander dies, and Athanasius himself is elected to the bishopric. And so, for the rest of his life, Athanasius actually stands up for the definition of the Nicene Creed, that the Son is equal with the Father. Not that we understand how this works or that we have God, quote-unquote, figured out, but Athanasius says if we worship the Son, if we call on the divine name in three names, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, but yet we don't worship merely one God, but one God in three persons, then to say that the Son is anything less than the Father is to either have three gods or to be worshiping the creature instead of God himself. And again, there's a lot that goes on here, but Athanasius' life, his importance, the value, both in his own lifetime and historically ever since, is that Athanasius is, you might say, the cleanup hitter for the Nicene Creed. And it gets quite feisty. Now, these are not necessarily the most sanctified moments in the history of the church. These are sinners. They do all kinds of things that make us cringe a little bit. But this is a real substantive issue. This is not ticky-tack. It's who are we worshiping? What can we say biblically about our worship of the Son? Is it just a creature, or is there something else? For all of his life, Athanasius doubled down on the fact that the Nicene Creed got it right. Because after the Creed, there were some who wanted to cast doubt onto it. And for the rest of his life, Athanasius said, no, we must stick to the Nicene Creed, and we must interpret it correctly. And so for the rest of his life and ever since, Athanasius is known as the man who defended the deity of Christ our Lord.